it's always great to come here on race day because there are so many tailgates and people in beautiful clothes and hats and gorgeous horses.
When I go to England, people will say, where do you live? And I said, Middleburg. And they'll say, well, what's it like? And I said, it's the closest thing we have to England in America.
But then we got the countdown, right?
Yeah, no. 4, 3, 2, not yet.
We are live at the Middleburg Spring Races. There's weather. There's some technology stuff going on that's maybe going to slow us down throughout the show. Bear with us. Our first time out here at a steeplechase race. I'm Dan Tordjman with America's Best Racing, joined by Megan Connolly with the National Steeplechase Association, and a familiar face to a lot of our viewers here, Bri Mott with StableDuel. We are so pumped to be here for the very first time.
Yes.
I mentioned this last night when we were on for your show.
Mm-hmm.
We're usually in the position of teaching people about horse racing, flat racing, the Kentucky Derby, the Triple Crown, this, that, and the other thing. Here today, I'm going to sit back a little bit and you're going to do the teaching.
Yeah.
And we're going to learn together with the audience because it's a little bit of a different world for me. Maybe not you entirely, but for me at least. And Megan, you've been like my mentor through this process.
I'm honored.
You have. So set the stage here. The Middleburg Spring Races. What is this event?
So it's an incredibly historical event. The Middleburg Spring Races have been running for 103 years. This is the 100th running of the Grade 2 Temple Gwathmey Stakes. We actually have a family member from the Temple Gwathmey family who is going to sing for us a traditional song here in a minute. But it is a premier spring race meet. It's our third most purse money on the spring calendar. We get to see some incredible horses perform today. There are 8 races. We have hurdle races. We just had a training flat race. We will have a timber stake. And then, of course, the steeplethon across the Alfred Hunt steeplethon course, which is super fun. It's the 8th race. So stick around and watch on the NSA live stream after America's Best Racing broadcast ends. But it's such an incredible day of racing. There's great purse money, but we hope to see the return to the racing activity of Snap Decision, who was now 2-time Eclipse Award finalist for his incredible athleticism and success over hurdles. He was in 2021 a 9-race record holder of he hadn't lost a race. Sorry, my brain is like trying to push out so much information. I need more
lights. We got a lot of action out here.
Yeah.
We have plenty
It's a big
of
day.
time.
And I will say, you mentioned timber racing, hurdles, like we're going to explain all of it here. So bear with us. You see on the bottom of the screen there, you can watch now live on nationalsteeplechase.com. You just open another tab. You can watch the races live alongside us. We're going to push them out up through the 4th race, which is that Temple Gwathmey. And if you didn't know, now you know. You could play on StableDuel.
Now you know, yes.
So tell us about how StableDuel's involved in all this.
So we have a very exciting partnership with the National Steeplechase Association. So we have a string of contests for spring racing, and I'm sure we're going to bring it into the fall. So we have 7 contests, $2,000 paid out,
Awesome.
Free to play.
Free money.
So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with StableDuel. It is kind of similar to a fantasy football. So you're putting together your team, your stable of horses, and competing against others. So that was today, and it's already locked. So it locks at first post. You can't get in today, but don't worry. You can still download the app and actually see your stable, Megan's stable. Actually, we should have a fun bet between you two, and cocktails are already flowing. So we'll talk about what that bet is. But go in the StableDuel app if you haven't already. You can check out the standings for today, and we have 6 more races coming for future races, which we're going to talk about plenty of steeplechase races coming up week after week after week. But I'm excited. It's only dribbling now. We patched the tent. We have cocktails. We have lunch. This is going to be a great day, no matter what.
The lunch from Market Salamander. And you mentioned cocktails. So we've got a few drinks here. Of course, the way Bri rolls, she's got the entire bottle of
Now, wait a
wine.
minute. This was handed to me. I did not bring this. Okay,
I
wanted
stocked
to be
the
known.
bar.
Yes.
I stocked
Yes,
the bar.
way
I mean,
Bri
you know,
rolls.
we're in
Yes.
Virginia. We like to have cocktails at steeplechase races. So
Should we cheers?
yeah, we should cheers.
Do it.
This
Cheers
is
to
a long
this.
time coming.
Yes.
So
Cheers to Middleburg.
success.
Yes. We are, again, I can't say it enough. We are so excited to be here. And it's a learning process, right? We're kind of getting used to the surroundings. And what I've learned pretty quickly here is that history is a big part of the Middleburg Spring Races. We do have Annie Bishop standing by, who's a member of the board here. He's going to tell us a little bit more about that history. But before we bring Annie on, just set the stage in terms of the next few races. We got 3 races coming up. We've got, it looks like the Glenwood Hurdle at 135. We've got the Middleburg Hunt Cup at 210. And the big one, the Temple Gwathmey, which is a grade 2 at 245. You mentioned snap decision. Anything we should look out for, at least in this upcoming race, or these next 2 races with the Glenwood Hurdle and the Middleburg Hunt Cup?
You know, this is a good race, this next one. It's an allowance race. It's a non-winners of 2 lifetime. So a lot of people who follow flat racing would be familiar with that condition. So these horses are coming in here. They've only won 1 race over jumps.
Okay.
They could come in with incredible flat form, as we could see with the number 3 Modus Operandi. He's actually had 3 wins from 13 starts. You'll see some other horses running today that have had significant success on the flat, and now they're working on their second career as steeplechase horses. So in this next race, the second race, the number 5 Hero, the Hero Next Door, he was the 8-5 morning line favorite, which meant that he was quite pricey on the StableDuel game app, but worth it because he had 1 start over jumps and he won by 19 lengths. And that was just a couple of weeks ago down in Camden in South Carolina. So he's primed and ready, and he's trained by the 2022 champion trainer, Leslie Young. So she will definitely have this horse in good form coming in today. And because the rain is falling now, that's helping us because the ground has been very fast and hard, to be honest, here in Virginia. And that will help a lot of these horses. So it's a great race and it's very competitive. Another horse in here that I like is Neotropic. He's the number 4. He's actually the horse I picked in my StableDuel game. So lots to like in this upcoming second race, Dan.
So let's do this. As we bring in Annie, I told the folks watching, we're going to explain the difference between some of these races. In race 2, you've got a hurdle race, and race 3 is a timber race. So we spoke to a jockey yesterday who explained all of this to us, who kind of made the distinction for us. And if we would, our production team standing by. So they're telling me it's me here to play. It looks like we're a little frozen here on the Wi-Fi, so maybe we can't show that right now.
Well, let's talk about the difference.
Yeah.
Well, you guys tell me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
the jockey.
Bri, tell me what's the difference.
I'll tell you, as a seasoned steeplechase over here. So we're looking at hurdle races, and I'll just say on a visual front. So if you see a hurdle race, you're actually seeing kind of the brush on top. So it's almost like grass, kind of a hedge. Those horses are jumping softer, and so there's a little bit of a give there because they have room to have their legs kind of brush through there. So there it is. If we go to the hurdle, they're kind of jumping like a fence. So it is solid fence, and they have to jump a little bit slower. You'll see that the races kind of time back because they've got to be a little bit more careful going over those jumps. So that's the way that I would describe timber versus hurdle racing. And Megan, over to you to correct everything I said incorrectly.
Very good first go, Bri. I have to say I'm impressed with that. But yes, you are correct. The hurdles are made out of foam. It's a round foam, and then it does have the plastic brush at the top. It's about a 4-foot obstacle. The horses want to stay as low to the obstacle. They want to be economic in the air. They don't want to jump over it. They want to jump through it. They keep their back flat. It's much faster than a timber race. The distances are shorter. They run anywhere from 2 to 3 miles. Today's distance is 2 1/8 miles over the hurdles. And then the timber is solid wood. So they will run today at a distance of 3 miles. It is a very sturdy wood fence. It's straight up and down. You're talking 3.5 to 4 feet, depending on the race course. The horses will run slower, and they will jump over the fence, which means they need to be very athletic, using their back end to really give them that push at the launch area. So big difference, but a lot of the timber horses have previously run over hurdles. And again, steeplechase horses are thoroughbreds, believe it or not, and a lot of them have run on the flat. So they're primed and ready when they do make these career changes. Steeplechasing is often a second career for flat horses. So you'll see a lot of those horses here today and some first-time starters.
And we did poll that on the StableDuel channel, and 84% of the people who answered got it correct, that they knew that it was
Nice.
thoroughbred racehorses. So,
But I want to know what they thought the
so
other
I
was.
said quarter horse,
Yeah.
warm blood, or I just threw in an other. So
I'm
maybe
curious.
Icelandic,
Yeah.
like little like Welsh ponies. I don't know what else
Irish
they thought.
sport horse or a Turkana or
But
something.
they're thoroughbreds, and I think we should talk about that today. Is, from the flat racing world, if a horse is not performing at potentially its peak, they have a great option to go to steeplechase racing. There are trainers that came up under thoroughbred flat race trainers that people would understand, and there's an avenue here for a racehorse owner to enjoy racing a horse at steeplechase just as much as flat racing. So I think a lot of flat race owners need to know that option is out there, and it's a heck of a party. I mean, you can watch your horse run, tailgate. I mean, hang out with us.
Play the StableDuel game.
Yes, absolutely.
And you could also drop comments in. Let us know who you used on StableDuel. By the way, I used Neotropic.
You got Neotropic in this one?
The upcoming race. It looks like so we're getting some internet back. This is all really exciting. Are you seeing it on your end, guys?
You're on Neotropic
I have
too.
Neotropic as well. Yep.
Okay. So here's what we'll do real quick. We're going to play the video here that we mentioned a moment ago. Jockey Jared Galligan is going to explain some of those differences. He's going to give...
Hi, I'm Jared Galligan. I'm a professional steeplechase jockey, and I'm going to show you the two different types of steeplechase fences that we race over. So this is a hurdle or a national fence. It's just over 4 feet tall. It's made of a foam base, so if a horse hits it with his front legs, nice and forgiving, and then black plastic brush, just to brush on through. I'd say about 80% of our races are run over this hurdle, including the Grade 2 Temple Gwathmey Stakes on the card. So at every fence there's large plastic wings, which just keeps the horse nice and straight going into a fence. Over hurdles, you want the horse to jump as fast and low as possible, just through the black brush. So we never take back going to a fence. You either keep on the same stride, or you'll see some jockeys today that if you want them to extend their stride, kind of push them into a fence to try jump nice and low and fast through the black brush. And now we move on to a timber fence. Generally, timber races are run over 3 miles, which is a mile or so longer than the hurdle races, so we're going that bit slower. On the run to a timber fence, you don't want to be going that fast because you're not going to brush through it. You're going to want to woe them back and jump off their hind end. You want to go up and over. They're mostly older horses running in timber races. The horses have generally ran over hurdles before, and this is the next stage of their career. They're more experienced jumpers. One of the most interesting and unique things about Middleburg Spring Races is the tight turn and short running right before the finish line. It makes for exciting finishes. We hope you enjoy the Middleburg Spring Races.
Awesome video.
So we're back live now here with Annie Bishop, as I mentioned a moment ago, member of the board here with the Middleburg Spring Races, as well as Ned Grassi with some real historical connections to today, and specifically the Temple Gwathmey. What do we think about this? Tell us the history of this. What is this forebode here? What does this tell us about the day?
Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe it's not the 100th run.
It's called Spring in Virginia.
Spring in Virginia, right? Well, this is the official, unofficial, but we'll call it the official kickoff to Spring in Virginia, right? The Middleburg Spring Races.
It is the kickoff to spring. I mean, there's point-to-points leading up to this, but really the kickoff to spring in Virginia and steeplechase racing in Virginia that leads on to the rest of the season really starts at Middleburg Spring Races.
Yeah. Ned, we were talking just a moment ago while that video was playing. Your connection to this goes beyond just kind of attending the races. Your great-grandfather was Temple Gwathmey. I didn't know if Temple Gwathmey was a person or a temple or what, but an actual person. And tell me about some of the family history there.
He was an actual person. He died in 23, and they had a race after him right away. So he was obviously a popular guy because his friends put together a stakes race for him immediately. Mm-hmm. And he did a ton of racing all over the place. And then there was actually a son who died in 1932 at the age of 23.
Jockey, right?
A jockey. He died at Monmouth
Mm-hmm.
County.
Yep. So very interesting. You sent me all the literature to read and to catch up on.
I know. I didn't mean to give you summer reading, but here you are.
Oh, you rock. You've been incredible throughout this whole thing. As again, like I said, you and Megan onboarding us here. For people who haven't been here before, I know it's raining today. We've heard the thunder in the distance. On most years, what are you getting when you come out here to the Middleburg Spring Races?
I mean, most days when you come, you're getting an incredibly beautiful day. The view of the Blue Ridge Mountains cannot be beat. You're a mile and a half from Middleburg, the town, which couldn't be cuter. It's a great way to celebrate with friends. It's a great way to catch up, watch incredible racehorses. It's really just one of those sort of quintessential country days. You can't really put your finger on how great it is.
Yeah, and I did see a lot of kids, a lot of families. I saw a video with you and several others who mentioned, playing on the rocks out here when you were a kid, right?
I mean, I think I've been coming to the Middleburg Spring Racing since I was probably 3 years old.
Wow.
And so really Glenwood Park and Middleburg Spring is really just a part of the fabric of who I am. And I couldn't be sorry.
They see you on TV.
Really they couldn't, I can't imagine not coming to Middleburg Spring and having spent so much time here. I mean, I had my rehearsal dinner here, which is how much I love
Oh, wow.
and we're so lucky that this place is preserved for us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Ned, you got the cue, right? You got the mic right up to your mouth. You know what's up.
I did get the cue.
And it's important right here because you're going to sing us a song. Before you do, tell us a little bit about how this, sort of the evolution, the genesis of this song.
Of the song?
Yeah.
I did. I still have been singing at the Maryland Hunt Cup, not in the last few years, but I put together a song and then I'd do a verse at the race, and then I'd sing it at the Hunt Ball that night. So I sang it for one of the people that won that race, who was down here at a race. And then Turner and Dougie said, "Well, what's wrong with your great grandfather's race?" So I was shamed into it, and that's how it happened.
So to be clear, this is a song that you're going to sing in full officially before the Temple Gwathmey.
Yeah.
But you're giving us a little bit of a sneak preview here.
Exactly.
So Ned, please take it away.
Temple Gwathmey had a stable, and he raced in New York. He raced them wherever they had good sport. He was born in Virginia after the Civil War. Then he traded with the Yankees to even the score. They made him the head of the Cotton Exchange, where he found a partner, and Weld was his name.
All right, let's go, Ned Grassi. Let's go. I think you're ready. I think you're ready to take this thing down before the Temple Gwathmey. So we'll look out for you. Thank you for taking a few minutes to warm up with us.
Oh. My pleasure. I get to sing the whole thing as I sing the horses onto the course.
Wonderful. Wonderful. We're looking forward to that. Ned, thank you. Now we have Bridge Littleton, the mayor here of Middleburg. Bridge, thank you for taking a few minutes with us. Beautiful day out here in Middleburg, right?
It's a gorgeous day. Opportune time to go inside, spend lots of money.
Exactly. We driving in, I played a little hype music. I posted a video as I was driving in, just struck by just the beautiful landscape in general. Tell us a little bit about Middleburg. What your 8th generation? Am I correct?
Yes.
8th generation. Tell me a little bit about your history, your family's history here as well.
So, Middleburg really started off as a trading town. It gets its name Middleburg because it's halfway in between Winchester and Old Town Alexandria. So people would literally leave Old Town Alexandria, come to Middleburg, spend the night at one of the inns, and then go the rest of the way their journey to Winchester on horseback. And so, the town was founded in 1787 by a guy named Levin Powell, Revolutionary War colonel. And It's interesting. He originally bought it it was 500 acres. He bought for $2.50 an acre.
Decent deal.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the assessed value of the town right now is like $340 million. So it was a pretty good investment.
Yep. That's incredible. And you, I would imagine, like most people I've spoken to who are from here, natives, true natives, have been at the Middleburg Spring Races since you were a child, I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's actually like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to get your first bicycle until you've gone to the spring races and then the Gold Cup. So, yeah, I mean, it's called the Middleburg Spring Races because it is a part of the town, the heritage of our area, but really it's about community. I mean, I tell so many people that, you know, what makes Middleburg great is it's a beautiful setting. It's in the Piedmont. It's surrounded by, you know, Gons Green Acre. But what's really special is the community and the people. And so when folks come here and they visit our town and they come to the spring races, I always ask them when they walk away, what did they take away? And they say, I mean, certainly it's pretty, it's beautiful, it's really nice. But the most common comment I get is it's so friendly. It's so welcoming. It's like I'm home and I've never been here before. So that's what really makes Middleburg special.
That's awesome. Yeah, we've certainly felt welcomed. This is our first time here at the races and in Middleburg. I wonder for you, have you had an opportunity to go out and see either other steeplechases or other, you know, thoroughbred racing events? Like we talk about, we cover the Derby, we cover all these big races. Have you been to those events and how they would compare, I guess, just in terms of vibe, atmosphere, and that sort of thing to Middleburg Spring Races?
Yeah, no, I've been to many different races all around sort of the Eastern Seaboard region, and you know they all have their pluses, they all have their uniqueness. But I will say the races around the Middleburg area and the Piedmont area, and especially the Middleburg races, there is no place that you can go where you're more welcomed by everybody. So of course it's my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, you have to say that.
The
obviously.
Derby is second, right?
Okay.
Pimlico is third.
Yeah.
Belmont is well. Wait a minute, no, because you got to have the fall races, then you got to have Gold Cup, then you got to have the fall.
Nice.
So
You
the
caught yourself.
Derby
You're
is
good.
seventh.
Yeah. You caught yourself. Very good. Do you get into any of the handicapping aspects? I mean, have you looked at the Temple Gwathmey, for example, a smaller field? Do any of these horses jump out at you? Ask Paddington, Belfast Banner, Snap Decision is another one. Any of these horses that you?
Sure. So I will tell you this: the way I go about handicapping the races and choosing, you know, the right horse for each race is, I have a dartboard, and I start first thing in the morning, and I take a couple tosses.
Okay.
And I lose every time.
All right. Well, I can relate to that. I'm sure a lot of our audience can as well. Rich, really appreciate you spending a few minutes with us. I think, you know, we still have Megan standing by, Bri standing by. You all ready to come in and handicap a few races? Because he doesn't want to do it. He's not getting into the handicapping.
I'm happy to handicap it if everybody wants to turn their money over to the gambling house.
Well, thank you.
Matter of fact, give me $20 right now. I'll save you the effort.
Well, play the StableDuel contest because it's free. So
perfect.
That's
I got
the way
it.
to
Even
do
better.
It. All right, Bridge Littleton, thank you so much for spending a few minutes
Absolutely
with
appreciate
us.
it. And listen, thank you guys for coming and making this a unique, special part of our race event.
Absolutely. And to your point, we have felt absolutely welcomed. We're thrilled to be here. So thank you.
That's great.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
All right. So Bridge Littleton there, the mayor here in Middleburg. We're going to bring in our other host you saw earlier in the show. We're going to get back into a little bit of handicapping. Bri Mott, Megan Connolly. How's it look out there? A little wet, huh? A little wet.
It's wet. We need it. We definitely need the rain. It's definitely wet, and Mother Nature is letting us know she is here. We can hear some thunder rumblings occasionally, but you know, we kind of expected that this afternoon. So, you know, I mean, the ground has been so dry. This rain is actually coming down at a nice pace. So this is what we need. It'll soak into the ground instead of running off if it was a super fast rain. But how awesome to have those guests on here and talk about the heritage of Middleburg Spring Races and the history. And then, of course, to have Bridge talking about just, first of all, his 8th generation. I mean, I can't say that. I don't know who the 8th generation of my family were. They're all over Europe somewhere. But yeah, Middleburg, if you've never been here, truly is a magical place. And you should make it a point to come, whether there's racing or not, but definitely come when there's racing, because we have Middleburg Spring, and then we have the fall races in October here also at Glenwood Park. So another fantastic day.
And I was told to go to an oyster bar that I did drive by coming
King Street.
in. But if you need a hotel suggestion, one of the best hotels around here is
the Salamander
Mhm.
Resort, which of course they were kind enough to provide us because they have Market Salamander in
Got it.
Middleburg, and they do gourmet food. It's grab and go. It's order from a menu. They have incredible baked goods. They've got a really nice wine selection that includes some fantastic Virginia wines, which, believe it or not, Virginia is known for its viticulture. We have over 300 vineyards here in Virginia, and what Bri is drinking is from the Delaplane Cellars. It's called Rusticity. It's a delicious red blend, and Delaplane
is.
Cellars is one of my favorites. It's in Delaplane, which is just the next area over from Upperville. But incredible views. Again, historical land, all preserved, but good wine.
Yeah.
Wow,
I
the
mean,
rain is really coming down now.
It is. But
It's like a barbecue sandwich here.
but luckily we've got, as you just said, delicious baked goods. We have sandwiches, we have wine, we have cocktails. It can rain. We're good to go.
Yeah, we're in a tent, so what's not to like?
Oh my
Now,
gosh, that looks delicious.
if
What's
I
that,
was,
roast beef? Ah,
it's pulled pork, no?
sign me up. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks like pulled pork. Perfect.
Whew.
We're gonna go off air when I stuff my face, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly. And
nobody needs to see that.
I
It's
have
not
to
gonna be
say, I see people walking around with their umbrellas, but everybody's still dressed for a proper day at the races. You've got lots of hats. I was telling Dan, when I pulled in, I saw a gentleman wearing white tight pants with a 2-inch block heel sandal and a lovely fascinator. And I was like, oh my God, I need
Yes.
to get a picture of him
I
because
did
he
tell
looked
him he was-
fabulous.
I did tell him he was best dressed. He was going for the best hat.
Yeah.
He told me he was going for the best hat.
Yeah, no, it's it's a great day.
So you do you, Dan. Don't worry about
Cookie
it.
is
Yeah,
wonderful.
we got it. Bri and I can cover
we got
this.
it.
You just
you do
get
you.
some nourishment. We know you didn't eat anything this morning, and you started the Moscow Mules at about 11:30, maybe a little bit earlier. I'm not gonna lie, but anyway, yeah, we got it. You go ahead and nourish yourself.
Such a good cookie. Oh my God.
Bri, right before the first race, you set a number for StableDuel on how many people signed up
Yes.
to play for the Middleburg Spring Races. Where did we end up for this
I'm going to
game?
double check before I say anything. 572
Woo!
people are playing in the contest thus far. So
Great.
super exciting. The first race is off. Yep. We're ready to go.
All right, that's amazing. So I know we are coming up to race number 2 here, and
Where do things stand, by the way? So we have the rain, we have the weather. I mean, the horses, where are they? Are they
Well,
in the paddock for this race or
so
not?
important to know that if there is lightning, then the race officials will make a weather delay, and they'll keep the horses in the stable area, keep everybody safe until that passes over, at which point then they would bring them to the paddock. So a little bit different scenario than at the racetrack. Dan, I gave you a tour earlier of the stable area, but what's important to know is that horses in steeplechasing typically are saddled in the barn. They leave the barn area and come to the walking ring, the paddock, the parading ring, depends on where you are, on how you term it. But then they'll parade around there, but they'll already be saddled. So they could be saddled now and standing in the barn waiting to be brought over to the paddock area. They would give a few turns in the paddock, and then the racing official, the paddock judge, would actually give them the call to the riders for a leg up, and then they'd go out to the race course. So right now they're in a standing in a holding pattern.
So now are the saddles the same as you would see on a flat racing course, or are they different?
It depends on the weight that the horse has to carry and the weight that the jockey is naturally. So let's say a horse has to carry 153 pounds and that jockey weighs 143 pounds naturally. So you've got 10 pounds, right? So he's got to wear his colors, his boots, his helmet, all that stuff has to equal the 153-pound weight. So he might decide to use a heavier saddle, like a more of like an exercise saddle, if you will, or a heavier saddle built for racing, constructed for racing, so that it doesn't have to carry lead, because horses will do better when the weight is balanced over their center of gravity.
Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community. Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community. Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community. Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community. Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community. Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community. Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community. Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community. Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community. Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community.
Hi, I'm Jared Galligan. I'm a professional steeplechase jockey, and I'm going to show you the two different types of steeplechase fences that we race over. So this is a hurdle or a national fence. It's just over 4 feet tall. It's made of a foam base, so if a horse hits it with his front legs, nice and forgiving, and then black plastic brush, just to brush on through. I'd say about 80% of our races are run over this hurdle, including the Grade 2 Temple Gwathmey Stakes on the card. So at every fence there's large plastic wings, which just keeps the horse nice and straight going into a fence. Over hurdles, you want the horse to jump as fast and low as possible, just through the black brush. So we never take back going to a fence. You either keep on the same stride, or you'll see some jockeys today that if you want them to extend their stride, kind of push them into a fence to try jump nice and low and fast through the black brush. And now we move on to a timber fence. Generally timber races are run over 3 miles, which is a mile or so longer than the hurdle races, so we're going that bit slower. On the run to a timber fence, you don't want to be going that fast because you're not going to brush through it. You're going to want to woe them back and jump off their hind end. You want to go up and over. They're mostly older horses running in timber races. The horses have generally ran over hurdles before, and this is the next stage of their career. They're more experienced jumpers. One of the most interesting and unique things about Middleburg Spring Races is the tight turn and short running right before the finish line. It makes for exciting finishes. We hope you enjoy the Middleburg Spring Races.
Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community. Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community. Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community. Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community.
Delay here with the weather not cooperating. We knew it was a possibility. We appreciate everyone for sticking with us. And we've got a bunch of races coming up, some exciting races coming up, including one that you have a few horses in. Megan, we set the stage for this race a little bit a few moments ago. But let's, first of all, again, you see Brown Advisor at the bottom of your screen. Let's thank the individual here to my left, Mike Hankin. Thank you so much for being here with us. And let's talk about this madness of the past 30 minutes, what it's been like and what you're feeling inside as you've got a couple of runners coming up here in the next race.
We do, and it's great to be here. Thank you all for being here. And I know some people probably don't like the rain. I'm thrilled with the rain. I think we probably got a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch in the last hour, which will definitely make the course a lot softer. And our horses should like it. So we're excited. We've got 2 runners in this race, and who knows? Maybe we'll be lucky.
And in the Temple Gwathmey coming up, obviously, what can you tell us about your feelings going into that race with the big horse?
It's a big race, and Snap Decision is a wonderful horse. If we stop racing today, he'd be a horse of a lifetime. I think he's training well. He had some time off in the fall. He ran a lot last year. You all saw him carry an enormous amount of weight at Saratoga in the Jonathan Shepherd and just blow everybody away. And then by the end of the year, I think he was telling us it's time to wrap it up. So we're excited. We'll see what happens. But you always need a first race to get going, and today is the first race of the year.
Mike, I have a question for you, and this is putting you on the spot, but what were your thoughts when he did not win the Eclipse?
Well, Megan.
Go off. Go
we
off.
don't have time for that.
We've been really lucky to win it with Scorpiancer and Moscato, and you go down there and you have no clue what's going to happen. About 20 seconds before, I thought to myself, not going to happen. And so I started to steel myself. And Hewitt ran a fantastic race. And sports is about having passion and celebrating successes and having debates about who's the best. And hopefully we'll be back.
Well, he's been 2 times a finalist for the Eclipse Award, and he's certainly been an incredible horse. And we were talking with Bill Gallo last night on Jump Into Racing podcast about the top horses overall in the NSA community. He's definitely one of those horses. So you've got to be incredibly proud of that.
He's been a horse, as I said, a horse of a lifetime. Winnings on the flat, winnings over jumps. He's just shy of $1 million.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens.
Is there, as sort of a novice to this world, is the fact that, I mean, I see like there was a yielding turf course at Far Hills for the Grand National. Was that really like the issue there? Do we know what?
I don't know. He likes it a little firmer, but I think that just wasn't his day. As you know, great horses don't win every race, and they have a clunker every once in a while.
You've got goals. You've got the Iroquois and you've got the Far Hills Grand National,
Right.
and those are the two that you're pushing for. So today, he does not have to win today.
No.
Yeah.
No, he
So
doesn't.
I know you have two horses in this upcoming race. They're going to the start. You've got South Mountain and Neotropic going forward, but I don't want to ask you about them. I just want to thank you because as the CEO, partner, and president of Brown Advisory, you've been incredibly supportive of the NSA community and making this broadcast happen today for all of us. So I just want to thank you on behalf of the NSA and everybody who's able to watch the live streams for the last couple of years. And it's really important. What is that for you?
It's I think about it this way. We're all in it together. And we're lucky, George Grayson is a partner of mine at Brown Advisory, to have clients, customers in lots of communities, and many of the communities that we have a presence care about racing. And racing's not just about us. It's about the people working in the barns, the people working at the track. There are thousands and thousands of people in this sport. So we've been very committed to keeping it going through the pandemic, supporting all of them and seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. And hopefully we're out of it now, but it's fun to see.
All right, we're going to end you there so you can go because they're running.
Thank
I
you.
hear Craig
I
Braddock
hear that
calling.
in the
Yeah, so we're going
Thank
to
you so
turn
much,
to George
Mike.
Grayson.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Mike. Good
Thank
luck
you,
later
sir.
with
Appreciate
Snap.
it. Thank you.
George, he touched on a few things as far as supporting the community. Can you expand a little bit more about the importance of supporting jump racing from the Brown Advisory's perspective?
Sure, and I'll back up a little further and just talk about this area a little bit. And this has always been horse country for whatever, 200, 300 years. And equine sports, steeplechasing, and all the other disciplines have always been a big part, really the backbone and the lifeblood of our local economy. And I think that's really important to understand. And it's the reason why we want to be supportive. And, you know, when we come in today, I saw the sign that says, you know, enjoy the view. It's not a coincidence. Thank the stewards of the land. But I would also just say, I would like to thank the whole equine community because there is such a close link between the equine sports, steeplechasing in particular, but overall the equine sports and what we see out there today. And so today is really a celebration, obviously, of racing. It's a, you know, notwithstanding
Hi, I'm Jared Galligan. I'm a professional steeplechase jockey, and I'm going to show you the two different types of steeplechase fences that we race over. So this is a hurdle or a national fence. It's just over 4 feet tall. It's made of a foam base, so if a horse hits it with its front legs, nice and forgiving, and then black plastic brush, just to brush on through. I'd say about 80% of our races are run over this hurdle, including the Grade 2 Temple Gwathmey stakes on the card. So at every fence there's large plastic wings, which just keeps the horse nice and straight going into a fence. Over hurdles, you want the horse to jump as fast and low as possible, just through the black brush. So we never take back going to a fence. You either keep on the same stride, or you'll see some jockeys today that if you want them to extend their stride, kind of push them into a fence to try jump nice and low and fast through the black brush. And now we move on to a timber fence. Generally, timber races are run over 3 miles, which is a mile or so longer than the hurdle races, so we're going that bit slower. On the run to a timber fence, you don't want to be going that fast because you're not going to brush through it. You're going to want to woe them back and jump off their hind end. You want to go up and over. They're mostly older horses running in timber races. The horses have generally ran over hurdles before, and this is the next stage of their career. They're more experienced jumpers. One of the most interesting and unique things about Middleburg Spring Races is the tight turn and short running right before the finish line. It makes for exciting finishes. We hope you enjoy the Middleburg Spring Races.
Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community.
Hi, I'm Jared Galligan. I'm a professional steeplechase jockey, and I'm going to show you the two different types of steeplechase fences that we race over. So this is a hurdle or a national fence. It's just over 4 feet tall. It's made of a foam base, so if a horse hits it with its front legs, nice and forgiving, and then black plastic brush, just to brush on through. I'd say about 80% of our races are run over this hurdle, including the Grade 2 Temple Gwathmey stakes on the card. So at every fence there's large plastic wings, which just keeps the horse nice and straight going into a fence. Over hurdles, you want the horse to jump as fast and low as possible, just through the black brush. So we never take back going to a fence. You either keep on the same stride, or you'll see some jockeys today that if you want them to extend their stride, kind of push them into a fence to try jump nice and low and fast through the black brush. And now we move on to a timber fence. Generally, timber races are run over 3 miles, which is a mile or so longer than the hurdle races, so we're going that bit slower. On the run to a timber fence, you don't want to be going that fast because you're not going to brush through it. You're going to want to woe them back and jump off their hind end. You want to go up and over. They're mostly older horses running in timber races. The horses have generally ran over hurdles before, and this is the next stage of their career. They're more experienced jumpers. One of the most interesting and unique things about Middleburg Spring Races is the tight turn and short running right before the finish line. It makes for exciting finishes. We hope you enjoy the Middleburg Spring Races.
Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community. Our future depends on courage, determination, and a shared dream. Hard work creates bonds. We each play our part, and we find strength in the knowledge that our contribution promises a better life for all. Grounded in principle, driven by passion, and dedicated to our proposition, we invest in the present to raise the future. Brown Advisory, supporting the global equine community.
All right, so we are back live at the Middleburg Spring Races. Of course, we've had a couple of technical issues here that have slowed things down a little bit, but not to fret. The big races are coming up. The Middleburg Hunt Cup is the third race, 3¼ miles over the timber here. And then we've got the big one we've been talking about, the Temple Gwathmey, the Grade 2. That's race 4 here. We're going to talk to one of the trainers in that race, really one of the trainers taking over this sport, Kerry Bryan, standing by. But let's just quickly recap before we get to our next guest, the winners of the first couple of races, because I see people in the comments asking the questions. The first race, there were a couple of disqualifications. The winner was Iranistan.
Yay!
Yes.
Megan had it in her stable duel.
There we go.
Woo!
Let's
So did
go.
you?
Yes. And then the allowance, the second race of the day here, the winner was the Hero Next Door. Who rounded out the rest of it? Is Neotropic second?
I think Neotropic was second, and perhaps number 2, South Mountain, was third. So Breeden Street US, we just had the interview with Mike Henkin, who is a third partnership in that, actually ownership, not partnership. So the Hero Next Door was the morning line favorite. He was a big price, but he was worth it if you played StableDuel. So yeah, it's good racing. Of course, if you're following along, we've been doing a little bit of the rain bypass here. It's been a interesting time, but we're having fun here in the tent. The drinks are flowing. We've got guests lined up. We've got Catherine Johns here. We've got Kerry Bryan there. We've got Harry Beswick there. So we've got some interviews to get through. Let's do it.
We do. Catherine, thank you for your patience. We hopefully rewarded you with one of these things here.
My pleasure to be here.
Specify.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You were at the Piedmont Heritage area, right? Like you're a board member with the Piedmont, right?
Yeah. And thank you for the opportunity to talk about an organization that's amazing and does so much with our local community.
Yep.
So it's a tongue twister. The Virginia Piedmont Heritage Area Association educates and advocates for the historic landscape, culture, and history of the Virginia Piedmont Heritage Area.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot. So,
I need a drink just thinking about that.
Me too. But basically, it's an 1,800 square mile area that includes parts or all of 5 counties. So that's Fauquier, Warren, Clark, Loudoun, and parts of Prince William. And we have sort of a 2-prong approach. We work with our local public and private school system to do education in the classroom and education field trip wise so they can learn about the history in their backyard. And the idea is that if you love where you live and you know the American history that's happened there, you will become stewards of the land. And we focus on everything from Native American culture and histories through the Second Tidewater Sons, through the American Revolution and the building of the Republic, to the Civil War, to Reconstruction, to the Great Depression, all the way through the 20th century. So it's a lot of history we try and cover.
It's incredible. And growing up in Manassas, even though I was originally born in Los Angeles, we would spend weekends at the Manassas National Battlefield, which I understand when reading the history of how this organization came to be, all stemmed from protecting the Manassas National Battlefield. That's just incredible. And I just love
that is exactly correct. So in 1995, the organization was started, and it was in response to developers wanting to build a subdivision, which we don't like, next to one of our major historical battlefields. So from that sort of moment in 1995, we've really become one of the strongest advocates for the preservation of this local landscape. And we're in a beautiful race course, which is a little rainy today. But however, even the town of Middleburg has amazing history. George Washington ate at Red Fox Tavern. He built some of the stone walls. Loudoun County has 300 miles of gravel roads. So it's just an amazing landscape that we hope to preserve for the future.
Yeah, but you guys are doing an amazing job at that. If there was one thing you could say to people who have never been out here, what would it be?
Come visit, appreciate the beauty, and help keep it that way.
Excellent.
Wow.
Catherine.
Before she came on, she was like, I'm a little, I don't know if this is, I'm a little nervous. Well, I'm not a public speaker. And of course, can I just give you my mic and leave?
Yeah, so articulate and eloquent.
Come on.
It was your Moscow Mule.
Jeez.
Thank you.
Nailed
Thank
it.
you.
Holy
But
cow.
no, thank you for being a steward of the land. It's so incredibly important. And I hope that we continue to have people like you, because you're not originally from here, but you used to come and visit. And then you just decided one day, I'm going to leave Washington, D.C. and make the Middleburg area my home.
I fell in love with the area.
You're an equestrian. You're avid out on the weekends and every week just participating in a variety of different equine sports. So thank you for being here, and thank you for continuing to preserve and protect this land. It's incredibly important.
Thank you for having me today. I
Yeah,
appreciate the
great.
time.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Go enjoy
Catherine
the rest
Johns
of
with
this
the
day.
Piedmont Heritage area. You can find out more about that group online. Just Google it and it'll pop up. They actually have
PiedmontHeritage.org.
there you
There
go.
you go.
They have a terrific museum that's an old house that's been
Yes,
repurposed
it's the
right in
Rector House.
Atoka.
It's
Yeah,
amazing.
It is amazing.
And it's
So,
open to the public. So if you ever want to stop by, you're welcome to come inside.
definitely. All right, Catherine, thank you.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
too.
You too.
All right, we're going to make this happen really fast because, as I mentioned, we've got some really great guests lined up in here because of the rain delay. They've all been scheduled to come in. So we're going to swap Catherine out now for Carrie Bryan,
Swap Catherine.
who a lot of you know already from the tremendous success that she's had in training steeplechase horses. She was originally an assistant trainer to Hall of Fame trainer Jonathan Shepard. She went out on her own in 2021. She trained the Mean Queen to an Eclipse Award in her very first year of training. Last year in 2022, she went over the $1 million mark in earnings, which has only been done by one other trainer, and that's Hall of Fame trainer Jack Fisher. So, Carrie,
It's not easy.
What else can you do? What else?
I don't know. I mean, the day started good, and then my horse just ran through the wing in the second race. So the ups and downs, everyone was fine. Everyone's okay. Yeah, it's been a fairy tale start to my career anyway. It's crazy to think I've only been doing it. This is only my third year.
Yeah.
That is absolutely wild. And I was obviously, I was doing a little background on you. The only thing I could figure out was kind of your accomplishments. What I couldn't figure out was the pronunciation of your last name.
And that's why you slid into my DMs?
I slid into the DMs.
Ooh, that sounds bad.
Well, I
That
mean, it
sounds
is
very
what
bad.
it is. It is what it is. And she said, dude, literally, it's Brian. I know it looks like it's Brian.
And it was a very long, well thought out paragraph that you slid into my DMs with. And it was just, yeah, it's Brian.
Oh,
It
man.
was a good try. But yeah, it's Megan is one of the only ones that actually says it right.
And I even
Brian.
said it at the awards
They
ceremony.
still
We
do
still
it.
have people that call her Brian, and I'm
Said,
like,
you know what? As
"Ooh."
long as I'm winning races, you can
Yeah.
call me anything
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want.
but
I don't
you
really care.
listened last night to the Jump Into Racing podcast. God, hope for the day that you're on the NBC broadcast.
Yeah.
You know, with
Well, I was.
Kenny Mayne.
To
or
be fair,
Brittany
at
or
the
somebody.
Eclipse Awards on the red carpet, like I was obviously
Yeah, but
interviewed
that's
by everyone,
live
and they
streamed on the
had it
internet.
all right.
Yeah,
They did it right.
Right. So anyway, let's hope that tradition carries
Yeah.
on. But talk to us about your stable. I know you're expanding to Delaware Park. I've been following online.
Yeah.
You've got 5 horses now in a 20 stall barn at Delaware. Just how fast are you growing? Can you keep up with it?
Yeah, I mean, everyone always asks me like, "Are you doing okay? Do you have too many?" I mean,
Sleep at night.
Yeah, well, sort of, but I mean, everyone has to remember I worked for Jonathan, and I had the stable the last 2 years as Jonathan's health declined, and I at one stage overseen 150 horses. So it's not, I think I have about 70 now. So it's not really, I have really good help, which is obviously a big
Imperative.
part. I have
Yeah.
great assistants, a lot of which have actually used to work for Jonathan and now work for me. That's a big thing. I have a great team, great riders at home, great grooms. But we are expanding, and I've really gotten into the flat game as well. I love jumping, but to do it at an actual, I want to do this as a living, you do have to have the flat horses as well to be sustainable, because jump racing only goes from March to November. I have a lot of really great owners that I've gotten into the jump game, the Wyckoffs, Saul Kuman, and they've sent me flat horses as well. So it's a little bit of both. It's great to have them now involved in jump racing. I actually have a 3 Diamonds horse, a maiden later on in the day, who won the John's Call last year. He's
Looks
a very
tough.
nice horse.
Yep.
Yeah. And he was just unlucky at
Class
Aiken,
of that
but
field.
definitely.
I mean, that flat pedigree or flat career. I mean, talk about that for a second. How important is that for a horse to come in? You've got Cross Border, who is a $1 million earner, who just broke his maiden pretty convincingly after a mishap in his first start.
Yeah.
But how important is it for them to come in with flat form?
Well, jump racing is getting to be tougher and tougher. Like you saw the non-2 that just ran. That was a solid race of a bunch of very good horses that will probably all go on to be novice stakes horses. It's gotten more competitive. Gone are the days where you can take a $5,000 claimer off the flat and make them. And look, there's always an exception, but
Sabu.
Right, of course. And there's always that horse. But in the grand scheme of things, those types of horses, Girl Dad's out of conditions on the flat really until he drops. And, he could be really good at this. So it's a great angle. And like, you know, he's not New York bred, but cross border, for example, I mean, I know he's older and he's a little bit of a special one, but he's New York bred. My maiden starter today is New York bred. If he can win, you know, he goes to New York in a non-2 over jumps and runs for 75,000 plus the New York bred bonus.
Right.
I mean, that owner, Steve Weston of Parkland Thoroughbreds. I mean, I bothered him every day in Saratoga that I saw him, and he ended up sending me the horse, and he's here today. It's a great outlet, and I hope I can keep opening eyes to that, you know, that whole concept, really.
You mentioned Mataket. I actually circled. I was like, oh, wait, I didn't know Saul Kuhlman was in this. I mean, he's doing this stuff. How does that conversation happen? How do you get him involved in this?
With Saul, I have to thank one of my owners, Paul Willis. His kids, or Saul's kids, played lacrosse with, it all goes back to the family. And he actually had a chat with Saul, and he had a horse in Liza Hendricks' sale, the Wanamaker sale that he owned, Jimmy P. And Paul was like, you know, I think Saul, this horse could be a jumper. So Saul's like, partner with me. So he sent him, and he's won 2 races over jumps last fall. And then he just got into it. I asked him, the majority owners of this horse going country and today had sold him to buy a younger horse, which is actually in the maiden today. Interesting story. But I asked Saul, like, would you want to go in? And he bought the majority of him. And then he went and bought a percentage of the insider who won at Aiken. So, and he has a maiden with a couple of the boys as well with me. So I think I have 4 horses that Saul owns a part of anyway. And yeah, it's great to have those colors involved in racing for sure.
And you mentioned, you know, I think this horse could be a jumper. Like, for those, like a lot of our audience watching, like what does that even mean? Like, how do you know? Like, how do you know?
I mean, look, I think every trainer has their own type of horse that they like to go for. For me, obviously, the first thing is they run long, turf or dirt. I don't really care. Just you see that they can run long. You don't really want a sprinter. And there's pedigree that I like, obviously, but that's not always everything either. I like a smaller horse. I don't like a real big horse. I think they stay sounder longer if they're kind of a smaller, you know, athletic type. So that's my type. I think every trainer has their own thoughts of what they really like, what they don't like, but I like a sporty athletic type of a horse, really. And obviously that they can run long, get the trip, no breathing problems. That doesn't work too well going 2 miles.
Talk to me a little bit about the filly that you have in the 6th race, ladies game. Now, most of this field ran in the sanctioned race at Old Dominion. You opted not to run there, but you ran her in the point-to-point race instead. Why was that?
She's a very, very nice filly, a very valuable filly that was the sales topper at the Land Rover sale in at Golfs in Ireland. And no disrespect, I didn't like the track at Old Dominion for a sanctioned race. I thought it was very sharp, very quick. She's a big gallop, and she's not very big, but she's a big gallop to her. She wants a nice course, and I opted to just school her around, which it's a great track for a school around. I just thought it was too tight, too sharp, and too fast for a first-time starter to run around. So I opted the nice route, gave her a nice school around. She's a really, really nice filly. Obviously, she lacks experience, and we're not killing her today. So if she wins off raw ability, great. But we're in it for the long haul with her. She was bought as a 3-year-old unraced. This will be her first start. We hope there is a big career ahead of her. She is a sister to Gentleman's Game and Madman's Game. She's by Blue Brazil, same sire as Constitution Hill.
Which I mentioned.
Her breeding alone is probably the best bred horse for jump racing on the whole day today. So I'm really excited about her. Rod has been great and patient, and you know he put a lot into the game and into my stable, and I'm so appreciative. But yeah, she could win today off raw ability, or she could be 3rd or 4th, but you'll be hearing her name in the future for sure. She's a very nice filly.
I've got her in StableDuel, so all I needed to see was 25% with first-time starters, and I was like, I'm in. I'm in. Tell us just about Ask Paddington. I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about this horse.
He's great. I got him last year from England. Obviously, we didn't have time. Look, I ran him off Rebecca Menzies training, which she had done a phenomenal job with the horse, but he didn't really come and go into my program. We just ran him fit. He was 3rd in 2 grade 1s. I will say he is better than he has ever been this year than last year. Okay. We did some just maintenance work on him, vet work on him over the winter. He's a 9-year-old, coming from England. They don't get much, their backs, everything. They don't really get much chiropractic and all of that stuff. So he's had a really good winter. He wintered well. He's been training great. this is a prep for Iroquois, but he is training really well. And I don't know between the two of mine because they're both training really well.
I'm trying to read between the lines. It sounds like maybe Going Country might be the one, no?
Yeah. He
Okay.
loves this track.
Yeah.
Loves it. Last year, funny story, I was trying to hold him up because I wanted to take him to the 115 ratings race at Nashville. So he tried to hold him up here to get his rating drop 1 pound, and he ran off with Mikey and won the race anyway.
Yeah.
Like with no ride because we were trying to hold him up. And he runs his best races fresh. And then 2 weeks back, he's a very strange horse. But you always know he's really ready when he's almost unrideable at home. And yesterday, I mean, I was about to cry on his back walking home from the track with the pony. He was bucking and rearing and squealing. If anyone's going to upset Snap Decision today, I think it'll be Going Country.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I think so too.
there you go. You
All
heard
right.
it here.
So one last question before we kick you out of here and bring in Harry Beswick. And
when
that
are you
is
going to win the Kentucky Derby?
the mean.
Great question.
No. Let's do her a jump race. We need
Send
her
me
in
a
jump
horse.
racing. The mean queen. She's back in your
She
barn.
came back yesterday. She's great. She did have an injury last year. She's completely recovered 100%. She will start training now, and you will see her at the end of the summer, and Snap Decision will have to beat her at Far Hills.
So when you say, tell us a little bit more about how you bring her back. Are you shed rowing her in the
So
barn right
she'll-
now? She'll do some jogging.
Yeah,
and then...
she'll jog. So for the next 60 days, she'll jog. She'll jog for miles and miles on the roads out back at Fair Hill.
Good hard ground.
We'll also we'll aqua tread her a bit. She really likes the aqua tread. It did wonders for her last year too. She's a funny horse. She loves to train, loves to work. So you have to be a little careful, mix it up every day, which way you go, what you do.
Yeah.
But all going well. You'll see her by the end of the
There.
summer. Yeah, she is named appropriately. But I'm so excited to have her back. I mean, she's amazing. And look, we'll take it one step at a time, but you should see her, probably late fall. And then the main goal is the American Grand National.
So will you still put Cheltenham on the calendar for her next year?
That's what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah,
I just don't want to get ahead of myself.
Right?
The plan was to give her, we could have brought her back at the beginning of the year, but realistically, if we're going to do that with her, you can't campaign all year and then try to go to Cheltenham. So ideally, the last filly and mare stake at Colonial Downs for her run back, because she is a mare.
Yeah.
And then the American Grand National, and then overseas would be the thought.
Cheltenham, we'll talk about that.
I'm down. You just let me know. I mean,
I'll
I'm
tell
there.
you all about
I'm
it
free.
when we're off camera, but it is the Olympics of jump racing.
I've
Everyone
seen it.
asks me, I've never been, and everyone, when are you going to go? When are you going to go? And I've told everyone I will go when I have a runner.
Yeah.
So that is,
Well, it could be next year. I mean, maybe it's not the mean queen, or maybe you take 2 or 3. Who knows?
have a lot of very nice maidens that have not run yet from Ireland this year that I'm very, very excited about. So we'll see. The dream keeps us going, right?
There you go.
Congratulations
Guys.
on all your success.
Thank you.
Kerry Bryan. That O is not there. It's an A. Kerry Bryan doing big things here. And we're looking.
Injected a lot of new energy and vitality into the NSA game. So keep it up, girl.
Thank you.
You're doing a
Thanks
great
for
job.
having me.
Yes,
Yeah, of
thank
course.
you for
Go
making
back
some
and
time.
try to get my horses to
Off
actually
you
jump the
go.
fences here. The rest of the
Good luck the rest of the day here.
Off you go, and
Alrighty.
we'll bring in Harry Beswick next to join us. Harry over from the UK. Come on in, Harry. Don't be shy. She won't bite you. Harry, of course, fresh from the saddle, showing that the rain is having an impact on the race course there. So welcome to the show, Harry.
Rain's come. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, what's it like out there right now?
To be honest, it's perfect now. It was the rain really got in, and it was riding really well. Hopefully, if it holds off now, it'll be a bit nicer.
I mean, the sky's kind of clearing. They said until about 2 o'clock. What time is it now? It's 2:40. So I think we're through the worst of it. So the rest of the day is going to be beautiful.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, but it's riding really safe. It's probably a touch quick before the rain came, and then during the first race, we just had a sprinkle, and it just got very slippy. But it's really got in now, and it's safe. And yeah, we should have a good days racing.
So you're currently the leading jockey. How does that feel?
Well, I don't know, probably for another 5 minutes, maybe. It's been a great start. Not so much down to me. I mean, everyone's been doing a lot of work over the winter with these horses. I've obviously been in England, so it's all down to the staff really at home getting them spot on.
I was going to ask you, what do you attribute this year's success to? I mean, because you came over here 2 years ago to start riding.
Correct. Yeah.
And you've had some good success. I mean, you're not living here full time, so that takes some of the opportunities away from you. But when you are named on horses, you're in the top 3 consistently. What do you think that is a result of?
I'm riding very good horses for good people. And it's horse racing, you know, anything can happen. Had a few quiet runs, especially last summer. You know, it was knocking on the door, but you know, it was very quiet until the Lonesome Glory. But just getting on nice horse. I've been riding a long time now, and I'm very fortunate to be riding away in England still. So you know, I'm keeping my eye in all winter, and but this is definitely probably the main part of my season now. I would look at it.
For people who don't know anything about steeplechasing, what is the difference in a layman's kind of way of explaining between riding in England, where you are from and where you started your career, to riding here? And what's the difference, and what's the attraction to continue keeping you coming over here to ride in America?
Well, the main difference, I would say, the race courses. They're generally tighter here. The ground's quicker, and the fractions are a lot faster. Like everything happens very, very quickly. You have to be very sharp out there. And England, they're bigger tracks, so you have a bit more time, and it's usually softer ground. Well, obviously in the summer, you know, it gets very quick there as well, but I'm over here there. But the winter, it'd be very, very soft.
So, sorry.
No, go ahead. This is great. I'm not.
You did a great job with Barry John Foley to talk about the difference in the American hurdle, which to you guys it's a national fence, is what we call it.
Yeah.
Versus hurdles in England and Ireland and chase fences. So I think that's just, you did a phenomenal job, because you talked about the mechanics of jumping a hurdle where the horse can actually touch the foam before brushing through, whereas a hurdle in the UK or Ireland is a flat panel and it flips down.
Flat
But it
panel,
requires,
yeah.
it's a different type. It's hurdling literally versus here jumping.
Yeah, well, like we said there, how the tracks here, they're tighter and it's quicker. It would cause a lot of accidents if we had our English and Irish flighter hurdles here, because you need the roll, you need them to be just backing off it a bit, because what we call over a term would be stepping, and a horse it's measured its fence, but it's not quite sure, and it's an in-between stride, and you've got one leg coming up whilst the other's going down, and that's where the accidents happen. So I wouldn't change the fences over here. I think they're very good for the style of racing.
Yeah.
It's safe. But they're very unique in that sense, because they'd be a similar size to our hurdles, maybe a little bit bigger, but similar size. But they ride very, very well.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah,
I'm done now.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
she asked you a lot of the technical questions. I'm more interested in kind of your origin story, just kind of where you're from, how you got into all this. I mean, how did this become your life?
So I was riding from day one. My mother had a yard producing sport horses, so show jumpers, eventers, show horses, and that was my life growing up. And I didn't really turn to racing until I was about 17, 18. Just fancy going a little bit quicker, you know? But I never intended it for it to be a career. It was more just get the T-shirt, you know, just say I've done it.
Check in on Facebook and
yeah.
But it hasn't been an easy run, and it hasn't been the most conventional. You know, I spent 5 years in France racing there, England,
okay, yeah.
and then America was somewhere I always wanted to come.
Why is that?
I did as a very young rider. Before I actually started racing, I spent a summer at Saratoga. I was riding track work.
Yeah.
And I've always had a bit of a fascination with America and stuff. And I just thought I'd love to come over and say I've done it. And I didn't expect to stay very long, but I've been gifted a lot of opportunities, and it just makes sense to make the most of them over here.
What's your dream scenario, if you could map it out in terms of, you know, kind of what the future looks like for you?
Noah and the Ark wins the Grand National.
No in the Ark. Yeah, no in the Ark. My dream, I'm just the kind of, I just go from one day to the next.
Yeah, I feel
and we just take each day as it comes.
You're a big surfer, aren't you?
Big server, yeah, that's a bit adjacent to the riding, but that just keeps me fairly level-headed, and I enjoy that. It's a good way to switch off, and I'm a bit far from the sea here, so I'm Yeah,
To
get a
say
bit
the least.
anxious, get a bit anxious. But no,
bet.
it's the surfing's great, and it's nice to have something different because the horses take up a lot of your time.
You're just talking about surfing. You had to run your hands through your hair. You were just.
I mean, look at him. I mean, seriously, if he really wanted to, he could quit riding races tomorrow and go and be a model for Ralph Lauren. So,
Totally.
you
Come
know,
on.
you walk in the catwalk in
I'd
Milan.
need a shower first. But,
Well, maybe, but you know.
This horse right here, Mr.
Mr.
Connecticut, this was one that I was
Yes.
looking at. I like the horse on the StableDuel contest we're doing. What can you tell me about this one? First time you're riding, right?
First time riding, he was claimed down in Camden, so we have these races called claiming races, same as on the flat. And Ricky Hendricks put in a claim. He liked the look of him.
For 30,000.
30,000. So it was
Yep.
a bit of a gamble. Like it's nuts, you know, not peanuts.
Yeah.
So, but I had to sit on him there. I was back in England for a few weeks riding, so I came back on Thursday and I schooled him.
Okay.
He goes very well, and I don't know if today will be the day,
Okay.
but I was impressed with him anyway. And
Do you know what he's named for?
Mr. Connecticut, what is Mr. Connecticut?
Okay, so Mr. Connecticut is named because the horse is in Christophe Clement's barn.
Ah, okay.
Christophe Clement's son is Manuel. Manuel is married to Acacia Courtney Clement.
Oh, that's interesting.
And Acacia Courtney was Miss Connecticut.
Funny.
So
Okay.
somebody thought very cheekily
That's
to
really
name
funny.
this horse Mr. Connecticut
There's always a
to
story
poke a little bit
behind
of
it.
fun at Manuel Clement.
We just saw a really good finish there,
That
by
was
the
brilliant.
way.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to watch
Mystic
that.
Strike. Did
It
he win
looked
it?
like Andiamo
Andy stayed up, but
held him
had a
off.
very
But
good
yeah,
run
those
from
are the
Mystic.
two. The 13-year-old holding off the 14-year-old.
Well, let me tell you, Mystic Strike is a legend. We talk about this the last two opportunities we've had between my podcast and then what we did last night. But he is the 3-time winner of the Pennsylvania Hunt Cup, which is a record.
Yeah.
And he's an incredible timber horse, and he's just fun to watch. And Todd McKenna's his trainer. Upland Partners is the owner, and I'm sure that was a big fun race there for Jared Galligan, who was the jockey that we had earlier that did the piece about the difference between hurdles and timber for this broadcast. So there you go.
I want to see if I could add this to the stream briefly. So there you go. This is we finally got some.
So Andy Amu, 2-time
Big close to it. Mystic Strike in second place. Tries some.
He won it one year, then he didn't win it the next year because he was off, and then he came back last year after a year off and was the champion again. So you talk about his age. He's no spring chicken either, Andy. He's 13 also. I mean, it's just incredible. And it just goes to show you that steeplechase horses love what they do.
Yep.
And it's a great second or third career sometimes for them because, as Jared's mentioned, you know, like they start out with hurdles and then timber is like the next step in their steeplechasing career. So it's just remarkable. You don't ride that much over timber. You primarily ride over hurdles.
Yeah, nothing against it. I'd certainly ride over timber if the rides came. But I think it's a very good initiative. It makes it very unique to American racing. There is no timber racing anywhere else in the world, and it's very good. It just adds a bit more longevity to a horse's career, and things happen very fast over hurdles. And as you know, getting older, you get a little bit slower.
You have to be a very good jumper though, and very athletic.
Yeah,
and
it
rateable.
I mean, it is a real art. Jumping a timber, when you watch it closely and you watch how our horses jump the hurdles here, they're very slick and they're very efficient. Whereas it's a completely different technique over timber. They have to really bascule, really use their shoulders. And, you know, I mean, you're still at racing pace. So, like, they've really got to operate. And, I mean, Andy Amu, it's a bit of a clash of the Titans there. Andy Amu.
Yeah, that was a great finish. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Before we let you go, this is essentially a big commercial / promotion for the world of steeplechase. We're trying to get our audience, our viewers, kind of to broaden their horizons a little bit. For someone who's never been to a steeplechase event, I know you've been participating in them largely as part of the show. But when you look around and you know, talk about specifically people, you know, in their 20s, early 30s, come out, spend a day there, enjoy themselves. Like, what's the incentive? What would be your plug for them to come out and enjoy a steeplechase event like this?
It's, again, you're all very unique over here. Like the days racing, they're fantastic and they're a lot of fun. And people come and they have fun. They get their tailgates. It's usually a nice weather, not like today. But it would be lovely to get a bit more interest in the actual racing.
Yeah.
They're coming for the day out, but there's some of the best athletes in the country here. And I think it's fantastic what you're doing with this broadcasting and just getting a bit more of a foundation to it, and broaden it around. People in England want to watch it, so
Ireland.
and Ireland, Australia as well, probably
Yep.
all over. And it's very good racing. Good racing today. And this is sort of the real start of the spring. We feel all the top horses are coming out today, and it'll build up to Nashville then in a few weeks' time. So it's worth broadcasting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just do me a favor, win on Mr. Connecticut if you can. All right?
Yeah, that would be great because he's in my stable duel.
I'll do my
But I
best.
just want to say the sun is now shining
Yeah,
behind us.
yeah.
We might want to put this up eventually to show everybody how beautiful it is behind us. But Harry, I want to thank you because in the early part of the spring, you reached out to me when you were over in England with Tom Garner's group getting married. And Tom was getting married, not you. And you said, hey, we need to do better to promote the sport and create more opportunities around showcasing the jockeys and the horses and so on and so forth. So you've been a really big advocate of that.
It's a
And so
pleasure.
thank you for that. It's important. And I appreciate that you've done what you've done so far to help us get through some of those things and
pleasure.
to be here today.
Yeah, no, pleasure. Hopefully we'll do a bit more.
Ralph
yeah.
Lauren, if you're watching, give him a call.
We'll send you the
Make
video
Really great
portfolio if you want
print
it.
model for sure. I mean, just look at him. He's so charming and charismatic. So.
He's like, get me out of here now. Get me out of here now.
Okay.
All right,
I'm gonna
Thanks,
go
Harry.
call Ralph Lauren. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
guys.
So terrific.
you.
Thanks.
All
So
right.
that was Harry Beswick, everybody. Again, a steeplechase jockey who lives in the UK but comes over and rides here in the United States for the NSA. And he's currently our leading jockey. And boy, he's doing a great job. And he's got a lot of really wonderful opportunities. So yeah, we're having a great time. And of course, we have more guests showing up here right away. And of course, now we have Devin Zabravius, who has joined us, and she's a lifestyle guru from the Middleburg area. And as you can see by the way she's dressed, despite the nasty weather, of course, now it's sunny out, she looks absolutely perfect and beautiful for the Middleburg Spring Races. Devin, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I'm so appreciative. And it's amazing what good tailoring can do that
Yeah.
it doesn't show the fact I'm completely soaked.
No, it looks perfect, obviously, on camera and up close. It looks great as well. So give us a little bit of your origin story. Tell us your background and how you got involved in this world.
So I'm originally from Pennsylvania. So I had a hunter and jumper equitation pony club 4-H background. And I showed in this area as a junior. After college, I finally got a job down here, was able to move into this glorious area, and have been here since 2002. So quite a while at this point. 21 years. I know, but darling, do I look that old? You know?
Hardly.
Thank you. But my husband and I have a farm in Middleburg, and we, in addition to our day jobs, which are full time, we
Quite
do,
significant, might I add.
Thank you. Yes, I'm an attorney, and he is
Not just an attorney, but an attorney for the Department of Defense.
That is true, and and I'm a litigation attorney for that matter. So I'm actually quite busy, and I'm someone who doesn't need a whole lot of sleep, thank God. But we have a farm here in Middleburg. We keep the horses going. We have 11 horses at the farm right now between the show horses and the field hunters, and we have a great time. And then we also race. A very good friend of mine, Maggie Johnson, and I co-started the Side Saddle Chase Foundation in 2013. So we do steeplechase and flat racing, so jump and flat racing with the side saddle horses, and we have a whole series between Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Virginia, and we have a great time doing it in addition to hunting as well.
You're quite accomplished as a side saddle rider. I mean, you and I hunt together with Piedmont, and you're always out there just incredibly turned out with all the proper accompaniments and whatnot. But you actually were the 2013, 14, and 15 USEF side saddle champion. So, I mean, kudos to you.
Thank you.
But clearly you have a passion for it, which is why you founded the Side Saddle organization 10 years ago. Congratulations on that milestone. What is it about Side Saddle that you love so much?
I found it to be an incredibly elegant way to ride, and if you believe in past lives, I've done this before. It's much safer for me. It's much more secure. But the horses seem to respond to it very well. The way the saddle fits, you allow the horse to just go on, and you're not interfering a lot with them, which you seem to do more astride. And the horses have just been fantastic. And we have really great horses that both hunt and show and race aside. And we have a great time doing it. And of course, the clothes are fabulous.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole other level of beauty and pageantry when I see you and Maureen Griffin and a few other ladies out there riding Side Saddle. I'm just like, oh my God. But let's talk about that fashion, right? Because here you are turned out beautifully with your lavender suit and your gorgeous fascinator, but you also make that a part of your lifestyle too. You create hatwear, millinery, and every time you come racing, you're just turned out like you are going to an event in New York City. So tell me a little bit more about the passion you have for the fashion involved with racing and the lifestyle here in the Virginia Hunt Country.
Absolutely. So I, pre-COVID, I was once or twice a year in England and Ireland for the hunting and the racing. And I have lots of great friends out there. And so this suit specifically is from the Eighth Sign, which is a very small woman-owned business who is very limited in her run from England. And I started making hats in 2018, 2019, because I was finding that we had a great selection of sort of Kentucky Derby with the very large hats in this country, but not of the more particular English and Irish design with the fashionators. And so I started making them to go with the outfits that we could find here. And then I've continued on from that point, making hats for friends and clients who've now come in with hats going to the Kentucky Derby and the Breeders' Cup and the Saratoga races. And I find it to be a great outlet from my sort of litigation attorney aspect and then the physical aspect of the riding horses. And this is my artistic outlet that I get to have in my quote unquote spare time.
So for anybody who's watching the show and knows nothing about Side Saddle or steeplechasing or the lifestyle that goes with living in Middleburg, what would you say to that person about who maybe is like, man, I need to find out more about that, or I need a fabulous fascinator like that?
Well, I would say one, look online, find what you can, go on Instagram, Facebook of your Middleburg Facebook pages, your millinery Facebook pages. But this is sort of an all-round aspect of not just the racing and the hunting, but we have polo, we have showing, we have some of the best horse shows in this country with the Upperville Horse Show.
Oldest one in the country.
Oldest one in the country. I've been showing there since 2003.
And champion many times over.
Champion many times
Yes.
over. Thank God for wonderful horses. That's all I can say, because 90% is the horse. The rest of us just look really good and guide them around the course. And we have a fabulous time with that here. And there's no better area than the Middleburg area for really a holistic horse persona perspective, from the racing to the showing to polo to Side Saddle. Pretty much anything you want to do in this area, this is where you come to do it.
As someone who rides horses, what's more uncomfortable, this chair or riding a horse?
Oh, this chair. I have to tell you, because this chair right now is sort of a slant with
It's
the hill.
terrible,
So
isn't
it's
it?
terrible.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
like literally leading this one.
I feel like you always see, like, you know, the people trying the equicizer for the first time. I feel like I am now better suited to do the equicizer based on sitting in this chair for the past 2 hours.
Yes, I think you'd be more successful.
Back's hurting, everything's hurting.
Oh,
Here I go.
Side Saddle, darling, you just glide.
Oh,
You just
glide.
do
look
Side Saddle
beautifully.
lessons and workshops, don't you?
I do. I have gone up and down the East Coast, and I have brought saddles over to Ireland as well, and I've reflocked Side Saddles at the Dublin Horse Show to people who are like, oh, you're coming in, please help my saddle fit better. And I love it. I love to get people more interested in it and get people started in it. I've lent out saddles, I've lent out habits, whatever it takes to get people in to this sort of niche audience. I realize that most people think side saddle is sort of extinct from the 19th century. It's not. It's actually a very secure, very wonderful way to ride, and it's a great alternative method of riding if you have sort of physical handicaps, because you may not be able to sit astride, but you can sit side saddle, whether to the left or to the right, depending upon what your disability may be.
Nice. Bucket list for me: come back here on a day when it's not pouring, and then I think Iroquois I've got to do Far Hills. Anything else I'm missing in terms of the big ones, big events that you would say?
Well, you absolutely need to go to Gold Cup.
Gold Cup,
Gold
okay.
Cup in May,
Okay.
and International Gold Cup,
which we have on the
Very good.
Definitely
All right.
need,
So we'll have
need to
that.
go there.
Okay.
And of course, any of the NSA races from Willowdale to Far Hill. I mean, all of them. They're fantastic. You cannot miss the steeplechase races. They really are top tier on the quality of horses, the quality of riders, and of course the social aspects that go on, which from the hat contest, the tailgates.
Devin is
just
judging the
great.
hat contest of the Virginia Gold Cup on May 6th.
One of the.
Yeah.
We've
So
got to get her on the. She's got to be one of the hosts with us. Like
Yeah.
she's got. I mean, come on, you got everything. You got. You got the.
it's the whole package.
riding
You ask
side,
me
you got the
and I will
fashion
be
side.
there.
Yeah. keep the calendar open for us if you would.
You
all
let
right.
me know and I will be there. No
All right.
problem.
We appreciate you spending a few
Devin,
minutes with
thank
us today.
Thank you so much.
You
for having
literally
me.
are
I
like
really
the
appreciate it.
brand ambassador for the equestrian lifestyle here in the Virginia Hunt Country. So thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for joining
darling.
us.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right.
Tag in this guy. This guy's the
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey of Steeplechase Racing here.
Exactly.
Come on in,
Sean Clancy.
Sean Clancy.
River D Stables. But before that, steeplechase jockey, father to Miles, husband to Annie, local now, not local when you grew up, but more importantly, this is horseracing.com, the Steeplechase Times, but a prolific writer and an award winner for your writing, which I always tell you you're a better writer than you were a rider.
Oh,
so, and
ouch.
I still
I'll take
continue.
that.
I still continue to believe that.
Well, can we acknowledge? I mean, maybe we need to hear his voice more. But the Matthew McConaughey of Steeplechase.
I get Woody Harrelson.
Say
That's
all
it.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I thought it was something there. So I was watching the video with you. You said you're riding pony races out here when you were like, 1984 or something. You've been out here since day one, basically.
Yeah, my father was owned horses, trained horses. My mother and my father, my family came here as kids. I mean, there's a picture of us, my brother, my sister. I had an older sister. We're all in a win picture here. We're wearing these little wool suits. I think my mother sewed for us. And so, yeah, I've been coming here a long time. Started riding pony races here 13, 14, and then road races here for years, and now live 2 miles down the road. So it's perfect. It's a lovely course. It's, out of all our jump meets, this one is just it's old fashioned. It's special. You see the whole course. So it's just a special place. I think anybody comes here, you think back to the times you were here with your family and friends and different times. Just a great place.
My first time here was when I was 9, and you and I are the same age. So.
Oh, this is something you guys have
long time ago
talked about.
Well, my son Miles, who likes race. I mean, he's perfectly fine with horse racing, but he's never been infatuated with it.
Right.
And I'm trying to get him to go to the races one day, and he's 7 years old. He's hemming and hawing. And I said, come on, we got it. We're going to the races. And he finally looked at me and said, Dad, is it the one with the rocks? And I said, yeah, it's the one with the rocks. He said, okay, I'm going. And he played on the rocks just like I did as a kid, and generations.
That really speaks to, and again, this is my first time at an event like this. So, and obviously I'm not in the world like the both of you are, but you having, the experience, like spending summers at Saratoga and all the rest of it, this seems a lot more mellow and a lot more chill. Is that just because I'm kind of new to it and I don't realize all the intensity and all the stress that involved? I mean,
Well, I like to say steeplechasing. People say, what's steeplechasing like? I said, it's the biggest thing in all the world to a very small number of people, right? And that's
It's
who we
true,
are.
though.
I mean, we are
It's
just
super
so
true.
fanatical about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I skipped my sister's wedding to ride 2 races at Fairfax steeplechase, and I told her she
Not even a big one.
Not even a big one. She said we planned this day. I think it's the same day as Fairfax. I said, Sheila, I'll be there unless if I'm vying for champion rider, I got to go to Fairfax if I got good rides. She's like, I'd never even been close to champion jockey anyway, so everybody kind of laughed. And sure enough, that's September. I'm battling Blythe Miller. The two of us are battling. I got 2 good rides at Fairfax, so I skipped my sister's wedding. And my only
Her
regret,
first wedding,
yeah.
Okay.
And my only regret is both horses lost, and I wasn't champion jockey. So
Oh,
that's the big regret, right? If I won a race or 2 and I was champion jockey, I'm like, man, it was a good choice. The only regret is, they didn't win.
Down.
They didn't win.
Yeah. So I guess in short, it is stressful once you're in it. Obviously, this becomes it can be all consuming. But at the end of the day, I mean, at least my perception is, as an observer here today, it is just such a, like, the backdrop is so beautiful, and people are so kind here. It's really easy to kind of fall into that feeling of, like, you know what, this is a place where I could really see myself spending a good amount of time and enjoying myself.
Oh, for sure. Look, steeplechasing it's really the true sport. I mean, it's any of us in it where we just love the game, we love the horses, and so as flat racing has changed a little bit to a numbers game and a more of a business, like with the numbers, steeplechasing still hanging on to the sport of it. I mean, everybody knows owning a horse,
qualitative and not so quantitative.
for sure.
driven.
And we love the game. We're true sportsmen, and that's what it's all about. That's what it's always been about for anybody who plays this sport. I mean, look, I rode jump race for 13 years. I obviously didn't make any money, and it was great fun and loved it, and I'd do it all again. But it was all for the sport. It's just for the
kings.
Yeah, and that's what it was always about. And that's what we still say today. I mean, we're still, we're true sportsmen. We love the game, and that's what it's all about for sure.
Now, if you ask Jack Fisher, who you spoke with earlier, Carrie Bryan, is it all about the feel good?
I wouldn't have asked them that.
I've got bills
We
to
want to
pay.
win. I mean, we want to win. Oh yeah,
And
no, we want to win.
Doing that. You're currently
especially as an owner,
leading owner right now with River D. So talk a little bit about that. Obviously you're very strategic in what you purchase. You do a lot of buying overseas, but you're really astute at picking up horses here in the States too, off their flat form. What goes into all of that for you?
Well, I mean, it really came from Jack Fisher. When I rode first call for Jack Fisher for years, and after I stopped riding, he kept begging me to look for horses for him. Just come on, you find me horses, just because he trusted me and he knows I'm around. I'm at Saratoga every day, and he's like, "This is just a no-brainer. You're looking at horses every day." And I was like, "I don't sell horses. I don't even know what you're talking. I'm a writer. I want to be a writer." And he's like, "Just." And it was one morning I'm watching a horse named Bubble Economy every day at Saratoga. I watch Bubble Economy train every day, 7:00. Horse of Rick Violet's awesome horse. He'd go by me just like a train. I'm like, man, I love this horse. Talk to Rick Violet every day. I'm like, oh, I love that Bubble Economy. Standing there one morning, 7:00, Rick Violet's walking to the gap. He's got Tom Voss and Kathy Renger walking up with him. So what are they doing?
Another steeplechasing
Two
legend,
late legends.
John's Call
So Tom, they're walking up there with Rick Violet. And I said, what in the world? What are they doing? And I see him, and they stand as Bubble Economy goes by, and they watch him go out of sight. I'm going, what's going on here? I'd never sold a horse in my life. Rick Violet comes back up the next set. I said, what were they doing? They said, well, they're looking at Bubble Economy. I said, you'd sell Bubble Economy? He said, yeah, of course. It's Klarovich owned him. He's a maiden 25 in New York. He was going nowhere. And I said, God, I didn't think you'd sell Bubble Economy. Oh my God. So I said, what do you want for him? They said, $25,000. I said, wow. Day or two goes by. I said, did they buy that horse? And Rick, if you remember Rick Violet, I mean, he was just straight as straight could get. He said, you cheap steeplechase people. They offered us 15. You guys are ridiculous. And I said, I'll give 25 for the horse. He said, okay, deal done. I called Jack Fisher. I said, hey, I like this horse Bubble Economy. You can buy him for 25,000. Jack says, okay. I went, okay, what? He says, okay, I'll buy him. And I went, well, you need to come see him, don't you? He goes, no, you look at him, you like him, buy him. I was like, buy him? What do I do next? He goes, you figure it out. You're a smart guy. Hangs up the phone. Bought the horse. The horse went on. He made $500,000, was 2-time champion over timber. So that's how it all started. From there, I've sold a few. I just gradually started buying a few for myself, and River D kind of organically grew from selling horses to other people.
2004 was your first year?
Yeah, I mean, really, Goodnight Shirt was the first big horse. I mean, that was I'd found Goodnight Shirt as a 3-year-old. Lizzie Merriman and I had Goodnight Shirt. We ran him on a flat, sold him to Jack Fisher. He went on to win $1 million.
Right.
And that kind of gave me a little confidence to say maybe I can figure out what I'm doing.
Hall of Famer, Goodnight Shirt.
Yeah.
So that's how it all started.
I was we were just trying to pull the stream up here. It's a little spotty, obviously, still because of the weather and because of a number of other things. But they are. Looks like they're still in the paddock now. But we may as well go through this field real quick for the Temple Gwathmey. It's our final race of the day that we're covering. Yeah. Of course, you go to nationalsteeplechase.com and watch the races all day long and every weekend. Go ahead.
Yes. So you, Tom, and Sean all picked Snap. Sean, you, Tom, and Joe all picked Snap in this for this is horseracing.com. So because you know these guys, this is like, Sean Clanson, like maybe.
Have you heard of this guy?
They put out their tips every Friday before the weekend for the NSA, and there's a running contest between Joe, Sean, and Tom Law for this is horseracing.com, and you all three picked Snap. So
Yeah, he's a logical horse in here. I mean, gives a lot of weight away. First
Yeah.
start of the year, by far the class of the race.
And that is him right there on the
yeah,
screen.
I mean, he's by far the best horse in the race. Again, given a lot of weight. He's a standout in here. Hopefully, he just jumps around and puts on a show. Hopefully,
Yeah.
Is it? But that is a considerable amount of weight, right? I mean, is that,
18
is that
pounds.
nothing
He
to
carried
be
more
concerned
to
about?
victory in the Jonathan Shepherd.
Yeah, he gave more weight at
Course.
Saratoga. I mean, it's significant. I mean, but he's still much the best in here. I'm glad it rained. I'm not sure Jack would have run him on firm ground, so the rain's actually helpful. People sometimes come to our races and worry about the rain. It's actually much better easier for the horses when it rains. So we don't have any. We're always concerned. We're always worried, but we'd rather have soft ground or a cut in the ground than firm ground. So that shouldn't be an issue.
That's what I was asking you yesterday. I said I'm handicapping these races. I'm circling all the yielding and soft ground races. I mean, I mean, the consensus was like it's been so dry out here. It's not going to really. It shouldn't make an impact. I don't know what sort of impact that rain made out there.
It's just going to take a little sting out of the ground. It just makes it safer. I think it's formful. It's been pretty formful all day. The last Andy Amu won the last race. I mean, it's a little bit of a cut, but it's not like far. We have different races. Far Hills in October, when it gets soft there, it gets really soft. Really plays the European horses. Here in the spring, it's been so firm. It shouldn't really be an issue.
But he's looking at it like being at the flat track when suddenly, the stake is the grade 1 feature is about to go, and suddenly the sky opens up and it pours down and they're out there floating the track. He's like, oh, I got to rethink my handicapping. I'm like, no, you don't, not for this one.
Oh, look, I would have adjusted some of my picks. I mean, as it started raining and you're looking at the weather, thinking, storm teams, the horse, he really likes it firm. Andy Amu, when it get a little cut, it starts. Andy Amu's like more of a 4-mile horse than a 3-mile, and storm team's more of a 3-mile horse. So it kind of evens it up a little.
Not today.
No, exactly. No, that's what. But the soft ground would have just evened it slightly. I mean, Andy Amu's a better horse.
Yeah.
I mean, on the day certainly, but it would just start changing a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if you got a 3-mile horse here, you're a little better off because it rained.
So
as
you're
opposed to a
definitely
2-mile horse.
on snap in this field, but you've got 2 more runners coming up. You've got Mission Bird in the 5th, which is the maiden special weight, and you've got Rocket One in the maiden starter claimer, if I want to say that right. Starter
handicap. Basically a starter handicap.
So talk to us a little bit about those two.
Mission Brief's run several times. He's run 4 times. He goes in a straight maiden, which is a step up for him a little bit, but he's got plenty of experience. And Rocket One's a new horse, and hopefully he'll show his flat form. He's got good flat form.
This is the Temple Gwathmey now. We're seeing on the screen.
And there they go.
And we will warn, the video may cut out or freeze at some point. There's Craig Braddock on the call there. You see on the top left. And if you need to get the live feed for this race or any race, you could go to nationalsteeplechase.com.
Snap on the lead as expected, and then Going Country in second there. Sean, do you want to go out and watch this race? You've certainly been kind enough and generous with your time. I know this is a big one for you. So
that's fine. You kicking me off?
No, I'm just giving you the out if you want.
I'm fine watching here. You never know.
You never know.
And so the video here is on a bit of a delay, so we're going to know the winner here before the audience does, but we'll see. So, and I was on Ask Paddington here. I thought the horse was interesting, and again, I thought it was right there, coming out of 2 third-place finishes in Grade 1 races.
Thank you.
Yeah, look, Graham simplified it. He did this at Saratoga. You're carrying a lot of weight. Let him lope along on the lead. Looks like they're going quick enough, 2.5 miles, but it's comfortable at the moment.
To Going Country second, Radishan on the inside in third, Ben Belfast, Spencer, and Ask Paddington. So they begin an uphill ascent as they turn away. Snap Decision, second in this race last year, behind Iranistan, who we saw earlier today, and went on, of course, to win the Iroquois and the Jonathan Shepherd. Leads by a length or so to Going Country in second. 2023 debut for Going Country today, who ended 2022 with a second place in the Radishan in third, also making his 2023 debut today. Finish off 2022 with a win in the 50,000 Appleton
anything of interest
at Far Hills.
To you? Are you seeing anything that's alarming or?
No, not alarming.
The horse Ask Paddington hadn't jumped very smoothly. He's in the back. There was a little bit of an awkward jump there for him. I mean, Snap looks like he's comfortable.
Yep.
It's off a little bit of a cut in the ground, and even any of the jump races, you don't really want big long ones. So you'll see these guys, especially early on, you basically have a long spot, medium spot, and short spot. Soft ground, especially, and early in the race, you just want short spots. So you can see Snap Decision. He's got a big long one when he wants it. You want to save those. You really don't want to give those away. It takes energy. Yeah, and you really only have so many of those as a jockey. In a race, Snap Decision. You got to win the race. You've got maybe 2, 3, 4 big long ones in you. So you want to try to save those as best you can.
Here. Here we got to back up. Oh, it's frozen now.
Change the ground. Course conditions are good now with the rain from fast before.
Oh, it is good right now?
Yeah, it's considered good.
All right,
So
I think
there's been a little bit of water on it.
Okay. The video froze up here again, so we can the best we can see.
Analyze.
You got a view of it out there?
Yeah, they're running down the hill. Snap Decision's in front.
Yeah, give us the play-by-play there, Sean.
Country's right there. He's actually going maybe better. Looks like he's going pretty well. He's kind of tucked in behind him as they go up the hill. Snaps on the inside, going Country second. Radician's right there. Belfast Banter. Last of all is Aspen. I can announce it if you want.
Keep going, Sean. Keep going.
As they go across the back, Snap Decision's in front by 2. Second going, Country. Radician's there in third. Next comes Belfast Panther. They fly that one.
Oh, yeah.
Snap Decision's in front by a length. Half length going. Country's outside in second. Radician's beautiful spot in third. Belfast Panther's back in fourth. And a long, yawning gap back to Ass Paddington across the backside. Snap Decision's in front by 2. Snap Decision, he's opened up by 2. Radician sneaks up on the inside, and second Ass Paddington. There, they come to that one. It's all Snap Decision. Snap Decision in front by 2. Radician's in second. Going Country back in third. Belfast Panther's got a lot to do in fourth. And 20 lengths back to Dan Tordjman's pick. And they come across the backside with 1 to go. Storming toward the second last. Snap Decision's in front. Snap Decision by 2. Radician. Belfast Panther's made up ground, but it's all Snap Decision as they come to the last. Snap Decision and Radician's there. They jump the last. Snap Decision clear. Radician's in second. Belfast Panther back in third. Down the hill and to the elbow. Snap Decision's in front by 2. Radician's there. The old veteran. Belfast Panther's back in third. At the elbow. Snap Decision's in front. Storming here. Snap Decision by 2. Snap Decision by 2, 3, 4. Snap Decision. Whoa, saunters to the last. Snap Decision wins it by 2 over Radician. 10 lengths, 15, almost back to Belfast Banter. And back to Going Country and Ass Paddington. Sorry, I messed up a little bit.
Get this man a contract. I got that on my phone. We got it here. You got the
kept thinking Storm Team somehow. I kept saying Storm Team.
You weren't even using the program. You're just going to the top of your head. Look at you. All right. Well, good. There's 4 more races, so just stay right here. We'll get you doing all of them. So here's the ending here. Now we're watching. Let me see if we could pull it up on the stream. Oh, that was the ending. So Snap Decision.
Look, that was a great performance. I mean, Graham Waters simplified it. You're on the best horse. Put him in front. Let him lope along. Never really adds a little pressure. Radician's cool old horse veteran, ran hard. They pressed him across the backside, but look, he's not a champion. He's probably the best horse never to be crowned champion. Maybe in steeplechasing.
Makes me.
I look back at horses like Leaping Frog, maybe, and a few others along the way, but hopefully he'll get one somewhere along the line. Lovely old horse. I mean, it's. Credit to everybody involved. Phipps Stable took good care of him the first time around. Jack Fisher's taking good care of him. Prudent Streets, they've just amazing horse. He's a lovely horse, American bred, hard spun.
Yep. There's a lot of hard spuns in the card today, by the way. This horse has made hard spun quite the stallion.
Exactly. They say, the road to the poorhouse is paved by stallions by one champion that you've ever seen. So now look, we do that a lot. I mean, pedigree matters a lot.
Your unofficial winner, number 5, Snap Decision, followed by the number 1 Recidian.
Stan Baby was a big one.
Stan Baby was one of the all-time greats.
In second place, number 3,
really to 3.
third,
I mean, in my lifetime, Northern Baby,
in 4,
then
5, 1, 3, 4.
And now there's probably, Hard Spun's good. He's maybe not a standout yet, but Flintshire's very good. Hadn't had that many horses, but very good. you're just trying to get a horse so you can get to. I mean, people, there's, a lot of, I run it into Mischief today, which obviously you just don't get many into Mischiefs, they're so good on the flat, so you don't get your hands on many of them. So it'll be interesting to see if he's a jump stallion. I'll tell you in about 2 hours.
One more question, and then we're going to kick you out of here and bring Bri Mott back in from StableDuel. But first of all, thank you for joining us and
my
your
pleasure.
insight and input and race call.
Yeah,
I
got to improve that.
That was helpful. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Talking about Snap, because you just won. So I didn't want to put Bill Gallo on the spot because of his position within the NSA. Your brother wrote an incredibly eloquent piece a few days after the Eclipse Awards were finalized, because a lot of us were like, what just happened? What are your thoughts on Snap losing to Hewitt?
I mean, I vote. I mean, full disclosure, I voted for Snap decision because he had a long, he put a campaign in, and when it's a jump ball for me, when you get that, you get a vote in the flat when there's a Breeders' Cup horse who wins one race, and if it's a jump ball, as far as if they've won one. If there's a horse that's won 2 grade ones against one that just came over and won once, I'll give it to the horse that had a long campaign and won a couple grade ones. So that's usually how I vote. When there isn't a standout, if there wasn't a Snap decision, sure, I'd vote for a horse like Hewitt. And you've seen that in time. There's been some champions.
Horses that come over and win the Breeders' Cup.
Exactly.
And that's it.
And then the other times, like Channel Maker won it because he had a long campaign and won a couple grade ones, and he was leading champion turf horse. So I went that way. I understand. I mean, I get the voting. I mean, it's really just a matter of opinion. If you think it's the best, they ran against each other once. Hewitt just trounced Snap decision.
Absolutely.
So I get the logic, but I just go in the way of when a horse, I just feel like a horse shouldn't get penalized for running spring, summer, fall. And I do think frankly, I think if Hewitt came to Saratoga, he wouldn't have seen which way Snap decision went on firm ground, right. 2 3/8 running like that. Late in the fall, 2 5/8 on soft ground, it was obviously a different story. So that's the way I went, and I always go that way. It just we have that vote a lot of times. You're looking. That's the way I go.
There should, and I will say so.
You're a voter too.
I vote. For most of us who vote in the Eclipse Awards, again, this is a foreign world. A lot of people do abstain from.
Did you abstain?
I did not abstain.
Thank you.
Did you vote for Hewitt?
I did. I know, because I saw the Grand National and that was it.
No,
right?
tell the truth. You saw him in the pub in Ireland with a pint of Guinness.
You can see it. Like I said, I see your point. I mean, I get your point of view. It's not my point of view, but the bottom line is the Eclipse Award. It is a matter of opinion. I mean, I'm sorry, that is the definition of the award.
Nope.
And the only comment from steeplechasing is when you abstain. To me, it's really disappointing, because all we're trying to do is say we're part of thoroughbred racing, we're part of flat racing, we're part, so and everybody's got to pull together. I mean, I said the other day, I'm like, to drive a wedge between steeplechasing and flat racing, it'd be like if the tennis game is in peril, you got a clay court people going against a grass court people. I mean, it's ridiculous. We're all playing the same sport. We all love horses. We all love the sport. Yeah. So that's all we ever ask is just include us in everything in it, because we're your allies, and just like flat racing is allies to us. I mean, that's really important for all of us. That's the only thing you want to try to portray.
And where I was going with that is that I do think that like education is important, and kind of being able to, I've heard the case now that multiple people have made is that, obviously Snap Decision had this long campaign, and obviously you look at the full campaign and you could put a line through one race, obviously, and say, look, this was the clear choice. Had I, had this background myself, and we had the same,
now you've been here.
Now that I've been here,
Snap win.
I obviously I think Snap Decision I would have given more
Team Snap
consideration to. So and I'm not just saying that because I'm on here, but I do think there is a lack of, so you could do one of two things. You could either abstain or you could sort of educate yourself. So.
I don't think you made the wrong choice, because it's an opinion.
He's a legit winner.
People, I don't think someone who votes for the Breeders' Cup Turf winner 1-for-1 is necessarily the wrong decision when that didn't vote for a horse like Channel Maker who went spring, summer, fall. My opinion is I award a horse who's gone spring, summer, fall, and has put a long, consistent campaign. That's just how I vote. I don't think you're wrong. But by far the wrong decision is to abstain and go, I read one. It's no part of my job is to know anything about steeplechasing. Like, really? Like, wait a minute. I mean, I just can't go for that.
To that, though, because it personally bothers me at a great level. So when I saw that 29 people had abstained from voting for steeplechasing,
29. Wow.
And just so you know, the Apprentice Jockey Award is the other one that a lot of people abstain from. I reached out to the NTRA, I reached out to the Breeders' Cup, and I have commitments from both of them and Tom Law from the NTWBA to share information that I will curate with the help of Todd Marks for all of our grade ones. There are 5 on the calendar to send out to the media, the voting people, racing secretaries, and a variety of different folks within those voting organizations throughout the year. So they can no longer say, I don't know anything about steeplechasing. Exactly. I don't know how to handicap these horses. So we're going to put these things in their hands, you included.
No, that's great.
So that you now have the knowledge. You've been handicapping these races. How difficult is it? It's not.
No, it's essentially the same thing. Yeah,
not
same
that
exact thing. So, look, Sean,
A
thank
pleasure.
you so
Thanks
much,
for letting me
man.
run my mouth. I
Good luck
enjoyed it.
I'm going to
Thank
keep
you.
calling you the Matthew McConaughey of steeplechase racing. If they even
have to walk around going, all right.
Let's get one.
Do it.
Come
I
on,
just
come
the race call. I
on,
got to
come
end there, man.
on.
I'm ending on
He
snap
needs
decision.
a drink now. He needs a drink.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks.
Appreciate
I enjoyed it. Thanks
We'll
for being
see you
here.
soon, all right?
Thanks,
Yeah,
Sean.
Get that
thank
vote
you.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, there you go. Good luck.
I'm at it. See you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank
See
you,
soon.
Sean. All right, Bri is back. Bri, come on back.
Bri Mott from StableDuel, of course, a big partner to the NSA this spring. 7 race meets. Today was the first. There are $14,000 on the line, $2,000 per meet, and it is free to play. So you have to get your 10-horse stable in before post time for the first race. So Bri is rejoining us now on the broadcast. And Bri, let's talk a little bit quickly about the next 6 race meets. We go from here to Foxfield, which is in Charlottesville, then from there to the Virginia Gold Cup, and then
we've got something on the Sunday. Is that the Manor?
Winterthur.
The Winterthur. That's right. I'm super excited for that one. And then we have Iroquois. We have we have a total of 7. 7 done. Yeah. Nope. Yes. Yes.
Yes. No. Yes. No.
Yes.
Yeah, where are your cards? Did you get them all out already?
Well, they're all. So again, we had a big old rainstorm, so everything is kind of hidden in here. But yeah, we have a total of 7 meets. Really exciting over the next few weeks. Kind of a little bit on the East Coast, I guess you would say. Nashville is kind of sort of central, but yeah, I mean, we're excited to just offer something new to steeplechase. And so 572 people right now are checking their stables.
Am I winning?
Do we know where you are?
Probably not winning. It's anonymous racing. If
I didn't have Snap because I thought
you thought it was going to take a race.
I thought it would take. Yeah. Well, no, because I know Jack is capable. I mean, he's won this race fresh without a prep race, like as we talked about last night at the point to points. He was entered in a point to point a couple of weeks ago, and he scratched because the ground wasn't suitable. But I wasn't worried that he wouldn't be fit enough. I just thought that with the weight and his first race off the start, the Going Country might be the better horse today, which didn't happen. Going Country was back in the back, along with Ask Paddington.
I should have used Snap because I was in 40th going into that race with 164 points.
Oh, and you got Ask Paddington.
About like minus 200 for Ask Paddington.
I'm probably last.
We cap at minus 20 for steeplechase,
so
good. It won't
God.
be that bad.
Oh, so I still got a shot, maybe.
Yes, but Snap decision was
Brief,
good.
by the way, in the next race. I really like Mission Brief. So, I mean, not that you can do anything with that information at this moment if you're not in the contest.
It's too late now.
Well, so Mission Brief 8-1 would have cost $3,000. So we would pretty much categorize that horse as a value horse. So those are needed in the stable. So if anybody had their value pick with the 1 horse Mission Brief, I mean, according to Dan, not a bad pick. And we were just looking at your stable, and you're sitting in 40th.
40th. I'll take 40th.
I mean, 572.
Rosemary's Baby is on the top.
But so click on the stable, and actually that person, it looks like, filled their stable up with the first 3 races. So you're gonna watch that one just drop.
Okay.
Decline.
Yeah. So all right. Not your best strategy in case you're putting your stables together to just fill all the horses in the first 3. But who knows? I mean, could stay up there. So
whatever for Mission Brief. Beating just the length first driver hurdles last October.
Any of this.
So I do have questions.
You're number 40.
I know. He's out. So I was looking at Dan's notes, and half of them
Kelsey Cox 56.
and the other half go that way.
Yeah, I
so,
literally wrote notes for half the page this way and half the page that way. Don't ask.
Okay, no rhyme or reason. I like it.
I mean, you know, we're all like really troubled
Oh, we
people
do.
as
We do.
handicappers.
Yeah,
you
we
know,
do weird
like,
things.
We do really, really weird things.
Spafford's a crook. That's a funny one.
Oh, jeez. All right. With that in mind, it's been a great
right,
show here from
race
Middleburg.
5. We have a $30,000 hurdle here. This is for maidens 4 years old and up. You said you liked Mission Brief, the one horse here.
Yeah.
8-1. So again, $3,000 in the StableDuel app. Graham Waters is the jockey here. We took a picture with Graham earlier.
Yes, and the main reason I like this horse because I wrote the horse's first Schreiber hurdles last October, beaten just the length. That was a race at this distance, over this course, over soft ground, and now it's not soft.
So D&T or T&D, what do they call it? They like the track and they like the distance.
Yeah.
What's
dirt. Yeah, whatever.
People
it
that
is.
work in the horse
Distance.
racing industry
There's
would
a-
know
there's a-
what this is, not us.
Whatever. We could call it
Track and
maybe a
distance or
horse for this
something.
course over course and distance.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yes,
horse
horses
the
for
course.
courses.
Yeah,
Horses
exactly.
for courses. Yes.
That's actually a really big play when you're playing handicapping jump racing.
So
horses for courses. Okay.
We had, by the way, I just want to we had a lot of comments here throughout the show. Just want to thank everybody who tuned in.
Yeah.
Rebecca put
Done?
up
Is
this
that what you're
comment
trying to
earlier.
say? Are we
Yeah, we're
closing out?
definitely we got to wrap up.
All right,
All
I
right,
do want to
mine.
say the chocolate chip cookie from Market Salamander is really hitting the spot right now because
Oh yeah,
it's just really good.
Need something.
all the food from
All the
Market
food,
Salamander was. I ate that
and we
very
can't
quickly.
thank them enough. But if you do come to Middleburg and you need a place to stay, Salamander Resort is really nice. It's a boutique hotel. I don't know the exact number of rooms. I want to say about 120, but they do have a stable there, and you can bring your horse. And your horse can stay there while you're staying there. They do a lot of different workshops and horse events within the property at the venue. But you can also come and fox hunt in the local area, and your horse can stay in that beautiful barn. It's like a 5-star resort just for the horses. But Salamander Resort is great. They have great cocktails. They have a Harriman's, which is a lovely restaurant. You can also dine in the bar, but the lobby is beautiful. And at Christmas time, it's super festive. And then the grounds are beautiful. So there's an old stud barn that they have kept, and they use it for private dining spaces, like private parties for 10 and 15 people. So definitely, if you come to Middleburg, stop into the Salamander, bring some dollars because it's not cheap, but have some cocktails at the bar, and then walk around the grounds, and then go over to Market Salamander on Main Street in Middleburg and grab some coffee, grab some delicious gourmet food, and walk around because Middleburg is just charming and historical, and it's incredible. So thank you to Market Salamander for supplying lunch for us today.
Yes, delicious. Yeah, I saw a couple small shops driving through, so I might have to hit it up on the way out.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. Got to make some stops. I'm looking at this list of guests that we had on today. Megan, thank you so much for coordinating all this. Annie Bishop from the Middleburg Spring Races board. I want to thank her for coming on. Sean Clancy, who you just saw a few moments ago, spectacular former steeplechase jockey, big in our world and in this world as an owner. Bridget Littleton, and a writer, of course.
Covering the sport.
And track announcer, yes, and newly minted track announcer. Did you see that, by the way?
I did not.
He literally called the whole Temple Gwathmey.
He stuck his head out of the corner of the tent there and called it like a professional.
I was watching down there. I wanted to see Snap in person.
Right when we lost video, he came in and did the call. Bridget Littleton, the mayor of Middleburg, came in, spent some time with us. Want to thank him. Catherine Johns was spectacular. Harry Bestwick.
Heritage area.
Yeah.
Say the whole thing,
the whole
Dan.
thing. Yeah,
say the whole thing, Dan.
I think Catherine Johns was wonderful.
Yeah, but it's important that people understand it. And as you noticed when you came in, this property is not here by accident. It is here because of conservation and because of preservation and because a lot of people who want to protect this land from being developed. It's historical. It's beautiful.
And that matters, especially
matters.
with everything that happens in development and population. Those groups matter because they can serve what we want.
Okay, you may continue.
Yeah, no. Look, Harry Bestwick kind of kept things steamy in here. Good looking dude. I mean, there's
he is
an absolute stud. Harry Bestwick. We appreciate him coming on. Devin Zabrivius, just came in with
I mean, how impressive is she? She's a
Amazing.
litigator for the Department of Defense. She's a champion, multiple champion side saddle rider.
The outfits.
I mean, I have to say, because she dressed for the rain today, I've seen her in so much incredible fashion and millinery. I mean, she's the whole package. It's incredible. Anyway,
also in terms of people I believe super impressed with, Kerry Bryan. What can you say? I mean, it sounds like she's got her sights set on
everything,
on just taking over the entire sport. So we thank Kerry for making time for us, and then of course Mike Hankin, President, CEO, Brown Advisory International, for obviously taking the time to be on with us today, and also for supporting this show and supporting National Steeplechase Association at large. So
I have to say, just to expand on that a little bit, Brown Advisory is such an incredible partner for the NSA, and they funded the live stream with some other organizations of Virginia, Equine Alliance, Post and Courier of Charleston. But without those sponsors, we would not be able to bring the product out to the fans, especially during COVID when people could not go racing and we were just reliant on the live stream. Brown Advisory, they put up money for purses. They sponsor events like this one where we can bring this to America's Best Racing fans, and they continue to. And so if you're thinking about getting involved in investing for your future, I highly recommend you connect with Brown Advisory. They're expanding their base here in the United States. They recently opened an office in Nashville, and they're good people to talk to, especially if you're in the equine community. But even if you're not, it's always smart to be thinking about your financial future. So,
all right. Well, our future has us packing up and breaking down shortly.
Drinking more.
There are a few more races here. If you want to watch them, you go to nationalsteeplechase.com. You can watch the live race coverage. And in coming weeks, stay tuned there and on StableDuel to make some money. Free contest coming up. So check all of them.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.